Hi everyone, it's Kristen with the Crafty Kitchen, and today I want to show you how to cut fondant with your Cricut Cake. This is chocolate fondant that I rolled out onto my mat last night at about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and it's about 1 o'clock today. I do not freeze my fondant or my gum paste before I cut. I don't recommend that you do it. I don't do it just because when you freeze it, if you don't cut right away, the fondant will start to sweat and unfreeze, and then it'll just be a big mess. So this is fondant that I rolled out on the mat, and then I put in a cool, dry place and let it set out overnight. And it's nice and firm. I can push my finger down on it, and it's not leaving any marks. But as you can see, it's not totally hard because I can move my mat and flop my mat around, and it's not cracking or anything. So this is the perfect kind of consistency you want for your fondant. I'm using fondant because I'm making cookies. It's the same sort of thing with gum paste. Depending on the humidity with gum paste, you can let it set anywhere from 2 hours to overnight. It's just, you just have to check it. Just keep pushing it with your finger, and if it's leaving indentations, it's not quite ready. But this is perfect. So I'm going to turn on my Cricut Cake, let it load up. I have Create a Critter in the cartridge slot with the little cartridge cover so you don't get any fondant in there. I always make sure I have my overlay over the top so you won't get any crumbs in there. We're making pumpkin cookies, so the brown is going to be the back part of the pumpkin that goes right onto the cookie. So I'm going to load my mat. Okay. The cookies are 3.5 inches, so since I want this to be flush with the cookie, I'm going to keep it at 3.5 inches. I have my paper saver on. I'm going to do autofill and see just how many I can cut with this. Hit shift and my turkey. Let the pumpkin pop up. Okay, here's my pumpkin in the window. I know it's what I want, so I'm going to hit cut. And it tells me it's going to cut it 6 times on this sheet of fondant. And then away it goes. Okay, unload my fondant. As you can see, I had a little fondant too close to the edge there, and the rollers rolled over it, so I got to make sure I clean my rollers really good before I put my cake away today. But there is the 6 fondant pumpkins. These two cut off. Let me see if I can get it in the frame here. These two cut off a little tiny bit on the edge, but that's okay because these are going to be covered by the orange fondant. And then I just peel like this. Hope you can see that. Yeah, you can. I peel off all that extra fondant. Now this can go back in my bucket of fondant. I'll microwave it for just a second to kind of get it soft again, and then I can use it again whenever I need to. This chocolate fondant smells like Tootsie Roll Pops. It smells really good. Okay. And there, I have 6 chocolate fondant pumpkins. So now I'm going to do the orange half of my pumpkins, and then we'll put them all together. Okay, here's my orange fondant. And you can see it's nice and firm as well, so it's ready to go. So we're going to load up our fondant. We're going to hit layer 1 for the top of the pumpkin, shift pumpkin, make sure it's at 3.5. Autofill is on, paper saver is on, and we're going to hit cut. unload my mat. And here are the pumpkins. Let me peel off the rest of this orange. This one on the end here got a little more jagged than I would have liked. The fondant over on this side probably just wasn't as dry as the fondant up here, so I may not use that one, but that's all right. I have a whole other sheet. All right, I'm going to peel off the rest of all this fondant, and I will show you the finished product. To clean out the pumpkin image, I just, I flipped it over, and I just used a toothpick, and I just kind of poked out the holes for the eyes and the mouth, and just kind of ran it through for the little, and I pulled apart a little bit. You can play with it because it's flexible until you could see through the whole thing, and that's the pumpkin top. Now to seal this all together, I use a paintbrush. I have a whole set of paintbrushes that I only use for cake decorating, and I wash them every time I use them. I have a bottle of almond extract that I bought specifically to use for this purpose. I don't cook with it or anything like that. I take a little bit in the cap. I dip my paintbrush in it. You could also use water. I just like to use almond extract because it adds a nice little flavor to it. A tiny little bit on the back of the brown fondant, and that kind of makes your glue. And then you just lightly press that on, and then when it dries, it will adhere to the cookie. Flip over your pumpkin. Lightly, lightly, lightly brush. You don't need a lot. And press it down. Okay, so there's one. I'll do a couple more just to give you a little example. Light, 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 light brushing. Make sure you get the stem. Put the brown down. Oh, of course, always make sure your hands are clean before you do this. I wash my hands about 1,000 times when I'm making cookies. Okay, and here's our last one. He might need to be stretched out just a little bit so you can see through all those lines. Okay. And then our pumpkin. Push him down like that, and there you go. Here's the finished cookie. He's pretty big. He's a handful. And with chocolate fondant and vanilla fondant, and then my no-fail sugar cookie recipe. I have one more step I want to do to these cookies to make them just super cute to give away, and I will show you in just a second.